Crimson veil, ashes of dawn. The quiet storm settled across the city like a velvet noose, soft, invisible, and tightening by the hour. But in the tunnels beneath the streets, where walls listened and shadows breathed, Mira Kael was already assembling the blade she'd use to cut the noose free. War room, pre-dawn. Chalk scraping stone, tense voices flickering lamps. The rough stone map wall is now covered in new chalk lines. Tower 9 circled in red, radiating zones showing quiet storm signal strength. Mira stands with arms folded, staring at the map as if daring it to change. Jonah, Tess, Leon, Anna, Karak, and Rafe gather around. Jonah, I traced the relay nodes. Tower 9 is the heart of the quiet storm. Everything pulses from there. The sedation signals, the modulation field, the whole net. Tess, and it's wrapped in a triple security perimeter. Electric, kinetic, and whatever the hell that third layer is. She taps a sketched symbol on the map, an intricate knotwork pattern. Leanne, Wraith shielding, old vampire tech, pre-warm skin era. It disrupts movement, confuses orientation, scrambles perception. Rafe lifts a brow. Meaning? Meaning if you run toward the door you might end up kissing the wall behind you, or shooting your own team because they suddenly look like strangers. Anna winces. Fantastic. Karak leans forward, claws tapping lightly on the stone. So, we'll be blind, disoriented, surrounded, and hunted. Rafe, Tuesday then. Tension breaks for half a second. Then Mira steps forward. Mira, we hit Tower 9. We break the core. We fracture the quiet storm enough to let people wake up and fight. Leon looks grim. If you break the core, the storm won't stop. It'll just spasm. Random pulses, sudden drops, uncontrolled surges. Mira, better chaos than sedation. Jonah taps a small rough map of the tower interior. Jonah, there's only one feasible entry. Maintenance ducts beneath the fountain plaza. Anna, and by feasible he means not instantly fatal. Karak tilts his head. The packs will create a diversion topside. Something loud. Loud enough to pull eyes away from the plaza. Mira, how many of your people can you risk? Karak's jaw tightens. None, so I'll bring 12. Plans built in war are never elegant. They're scaffolds, fragile, held together by fear, necessity, and the hope that no one sneezes too hard while climbing them. Soft humming, low static, handwritten notes rustling. Haley sits cross-legged, a data pad in her lap, eyes pulsing faintly with shifting circuitry. Michael sits beside her. Leon enters with Mira. Haley looks up before they speak. Haley, you're planning to hit Tower 9. Mira nods. We need intel. Anything the swarm knows. Any weakness, any back door. Haley breathes deep. The quiet thrum of the swarm whispers through her words. Haley, Tower 9 is layered, like a cathedral, built on something old, something carved before the council, before the warm skin, before the storm. Mira frowns. Mira, you're saying the tower's foundations are ancient? Haley nods slowly. Not stone, not tech, a ritual, blood-built. The vampires etched a thrall-binding circle beneath the lowest level. A silent chill grips the room. Michael, what kind of circle? Haley meets Mira's eyes. Haley, the kind that makes anyone inside it obey a preset command, without knowing they're obeying. Mira, that's why the guards there don't flinch. Why security rotations are so perfect. Haley nods. And the swarm knows one more thing. The ritual can be broken, but only from the inside, in the center of the circle, and only by someone who isn't bound to it. Jonah, stunned. So, someone with ancient magic knowledge? Someone not thrall susceptible? Leanne sighs deeply. Leanne, that would be Mira. Mira blinks. Excuse me? Leanne gestures at her wrist, where faint sigils still linger from an old rite. Leanne performed months ago, back when Mira nearly died on a mission gone wrong. You stood in a broken invocation circle and survived. The symbols marked you as outside thrall-binding tradition. Meaning? Meaning if anyone else tries to break the ritual, they'll become puppets. You're the only one who won't. Michael mutters. Terrific. The indestructible soldier gets the indestructible suicide job. Mira exhales softly. Fine, then I'll break it. Haley lifts her eyes, full of warning and something else. There's more. When you break the ritual, the core will respond like a wounded animal. Meaning? Haley touches Mira's hand gently. Meaning it will fight you. Not the guards, not the drones, the core itself, and it will know you because you cracked its mask tonight. War room. Shortly after the team regroups, Mira outlines the new intel. When she finishes, silence. Finally, Jonah speaks. Jonah. So the core is guarded by a vampire thrall circle and a living nanite hive mind angry that you exposed its facade on national broadcast. Anything else? Laser floors? Skin-eating spores? Anna raises a hand. Can I vote against this plan? Rafe snorts. You can vote, but Mira's gonna do it anyway. Carrick steps closer, yellow eyes narrowed. Mira Kael is many things. Smart, stubborn, dangerous, but she is not suicidal. Mira lifts a brow. Debatable. Growls softly. If you die in that tower, this little rebellion dies with you. Then we make sure I don't die. She looks around the table, faces lit by lamplight and resolve. We split into 3 teams. Team 1, Diversion, Karok and his pack. Team 2, Jonah, Anna, Rafe, Tess. Team 3, Core Break. Haley, if she can handle the signal pressure. Michael tenses. Michael. She barely survived the first wave. Haley steps out of the medlab entry, leaning on the doorframe but standing tall. I go. Because if I stay behind, the storm will hit me anyway. Better I'm next to Mira where the storm is loudest, so I can learn its voice. And maybe teach it ours. Mira meets her eyes, filled with new depth, new danger. Then let's go break a tower. Some battles are won with guns, some with spells, some with a single, impossible decision that pushes a soldier past the edge of fear and into the jaws of something ancient. Tower 9 had stood for centuries, a monument to control. Before dawn, Mira Kael and her ragtag constellation of wolves, hackers, medics, and half-lit magic would try to bring it to its knees. The quiet storm whispered overhead. The city slept with its eyes open. And the night held its breath for the moment the rebels dared the impossible. Some places aren't just buildings. They're decisions someone made a long time ago, poured into concrete and wired into stone. Tower 9 was one of those places. Tonight, Mira Kael went inside to argue with the past using guns, glyphs, and a woman whose blood carried a very confused storm. Sector Avenue night. Sirens, distant shouts, hover cars humming overhead, then a rising chorus of howls. A wide avenue leading toward the distant spire of Tower 9. Security drones buzz overhead, warm-skin enforcers in matte armor march in squads, pushing people back. Then the first howl splits the night. Karok lands on the hood of a parked transport like a thrown boulder, half-shifted, bones thickened, claws out, eyes burning gold. 12 lichens spill from the alleys, some full wolf, some hybrid, all teeth and fury. Karok, roaring, come on then. Leash dogs. The nearest squad turns, their squad leader barks. Enforcer Captain hostiles. Pack class. Form lines, open fire, energy bolts shriek down the street. Lichens dodge, some taking glancing hits, fur smoking. They dive into the ranks, ripping weapons free, hurling soldiers into each other. Talent clatter, animal snarls, human screams. Karok grabs a drone out of the air, slams it into the pavement, and stomps. Karok, laughing, wild, you can't sedate what won't sit still. A warm-skin enforcer lunges, eyes glazed, storm-controlled. He moves with unnatural calm and precision. Karok meets him head-on, claws versus enhanced strength. Enforcer, flat, emotionless, non-compliant predator. Corrective force authorized. Karok grunts as a blow rocks his ribs. Karok, through his teeth, I don't take orders. He bites down on the enforcer's arm, tearing through armor, tasting metal and blood. Nanites flare under the skin. Karok jerks back, growling. Karok spitting. Your blood tastes wrong. His pack starts pulling the enforcers away from the avenue, dragging the fight down side streets and alleys, exactly as planned. The quiet storm wanted bodies to lie down. The lichens answered by turning the streets into a storm of their own, one the council couldn't ignore. While the wolves danced with the leash, the real knife slipped in somewhere else. Tower 9 Plaza, night. Water trickling from a decorative fountain, distant sirens, muffled rumbling from nearby streets. The plaza surrounding Tower 9 is strangely calm compared to the riot zones. Security is tight, patrols at every entrance, drones sweeping methodically. At the center, an ornate fountain burbles over sculpted stone figures, old imagery, stylized, almost religious. Underneath it, a metal grate sits slightly askew. In the shadows at the edge of the plaza, Jonah, Anna, Rafe, and Tess huddle together, dressed as maintenance techs. Tess, whisper. You know, climbing into a drain under the council's favorite tower wasn't on my bucket list. Anna, you don't have a bucket list. Exactly. Jonah checks his slate. A guard pattern's looping, 30 seconds between passes. Drone sweeps on a 10-second delay at the fountain's blind spot. Haley's map lines up with the real world. It's unnerving. Mira's voice crackles softly in their earpieces from below, where she's already started down a different route with Leanne and Haley. Mira, you've got a 30-second window. Make it count. Grim smile. On your mark, Jonah. Jonah counts down. Jonah, 3, 2, 1, now. They move. Tess and Rafe cross the open space with tool bags, casual and confident. Anna limps just enough to look like a tired worker, not enough to slow them. A drone sweeps overhead just as they duck under the angle of the fountain's decorative arch. Rafe wedges a small magnetic cutter against the bolts. It hums, metal softens and drops in 2 neat quiet pops. They lift the grate, slide it aside, and one by one drop into darkness. Bodies sliding down a narrow shaft, a splash into shallow water below. The grate slides back into place just as a patrol rounds the corner. Drain access, continuous. Trickle of water, confined echoes, gear sloshing. The 4 land in ankle-deep water in a cramped concrete shaft. Rafe grimaces. Rafe, I always forget revolutions smell like mold. Anna, you can wash if we live. Jonah checks his slate, which shows a crude overlay of the tower's sublevels. Jonah, follow this drain 20 meters, then left into maintenance duct F09. That puts us near the utility guts under the security hub. Tess, if the old maps are even right. Anna, they've been right so far. That's the part that worries me. They move quietly down the drain, duck through a low arch, and into a dry maintenance conduit, narrow, lined with cables and pipes. Rafe is in front now, checking for physical tripwires. Tess behind him scanning for energy fields. Tess low. There's residual power in these lines. Old. Not council standard issue. Vamp prefab. Rafe. That's supposed to be reassuring? Tess not even a little. They reach a junction where the conduit widens. Jonah frowns at his slate. There should be a bulkhead door here. Instead they see stone. Dark, smooth, ancient. Carved into it, faint, weathered sigils. Anna inhales sharply. That's not on any council blueprint. Well, that's comforting. Rafe reaches toward the stone. Wait, too late. His fingers brush the surface. The sigils flare to life, cold, ghostly light racing along them. Low, hollow chime, like a distant bell underwater. I didn't die. That's new. The stone ripples, then folds away, revealing a narrow stairwell descending into deeper darkness. Jonah's throat goes dry. That's the access we needed. The one nobody updated in the maps because they didn't know what it was. Question is, did Rafe just open a door or ring the bell? They share a look. Tess, only one way to find out. They head down. Lower level, ritual chamber entrance. Air thick and almost buzzing, faint whispering layered under the silence. Mira, Leanne, and Haley emerge from a different stairwell into a wide, low chamber carved from ancient stone. The air feels heavy, like walking underwater. At the center of the room, etched into the floor, is a vast circular pattern of symbols. Intricate, interlocking lines, partially overlaid with modern machinery. Humming consoles ring the perimeter, cables running to a pulsing core device embedded where the circle's center meets the floor. It's bigger than I thought. Leanne, softly. This isn't just a thrall circle, it's a cathedral circuit. They tied behavior, memory, and obedience into the very bones of this tower. Mira steps forward, the hairs on her arms rise, the faint Hecate sigils in her skin flicker in answer. And we're about to unhook it. Voices. Not audible, more like impressions. The closer they get to the circle, the more the air seems to carry intent. Whispers. Kneel, obey, protect the order, guard the heart. Haley flinches. It recognizes me. The swarm's reacting. It thinks this place is home. Leanne, of course it does. The same minds that built this circle built the first nanite protocols. On the far side of the chamber, 3 thrall guards stand at attention. Eyes distant, faces calm. Humans, mostly, but their veins pulse with faint nanite light. They don't move yet. They simply watch. We expected more guards. We have more guards. They're everywhere this circle reaches. They just don't know it. Mira steps to the edge of the etched lines. The whispers intensify, directed at her now. Whispers, you do not belong. Step out, submit, kneel. Her muscles twitch, a subtle pressure urging her to bow. Mira's jaw clenches. I've bowed to enough uniforms. I'm not bowing to a floor. She takes another step in. The pressure spikes like invisible hands pressing down on her shoulders. Leanne hisses between her teeth. Mira, steady. This thing is old. It's built to break will. Haley steps up beside Mira, trembling. Don't touch the central lines yet. It's probing you, testing how much force it needs. Mira glances at her. Can you see that? or just feel it? Both. The swarm inside me recognizes the pattern. It wants to sink. Sharply. You must not let it fully sink. A wry, scared smile. Little late, it already knows my name. The core at the center pulses brighter, responding to Haley's presence. Tower 9, mid-level security hub. Same time, quiet, humming consoles, distant muffled alarms from higher floors. Jonah, Anna, Rafe, and Tess have reached a grated vent overlooking a security hub. Rows of monitors, a few guards, console banks monitoring the quiet storm signal in this sector. Jonah, there. That panel routes command inputs down to the core chamber. Dana, can you cut the path? I can. Confuse it, not fully sever it. Think headache, not lobotomy. Rafe peers through. 3 guards, 2 human. 1 definitely warm skin. We drop in, hit them fast, you crash the system. Tess unslings a compact EMP dart gun. I can knock the warm skin's augmentations for a few seconds. Might be enough to level the field. Anna, and if it's not, then I die first. Gives you a moment. Anna eyes her. You make terrible jokes. I make realistic jokes. They nod once, silent agreement. Jonah unbolts the vent cover. Screws loosening, grate sliding, soft metal clink. Tess fires the EMP dart, small needled projectile slamming into the warm skin's neck. Sharp electric crack, a strangled grunt. The guard stiffens, convulses. Rafe and Anna move simultaneously. Rafe tackling one human guard to the ground, Anna slamming the other into a console. Guard shouting, "Intruders! We have Anna cuts him off with a hard blow to the jaw. Jonah dives for the main console, fingers already flying. I'm inside, rerouting command channels. I can't shut the storm down, but I can shove noise into its feedback loops. The EMP'd warm skin tries to rise, dazed. Rafe grabs him, slams his head against the floor, hard enough to knock him out, not kill. Rafe, breathing hard, nighty-night puppet. On the monitors, lines of code and waveforms start to flutter, distort, stagger. Dana, what are you doing? Jonah, introducing stutter, delaying certain pulses, amplifying others. It'll confuse the net. Might give Mira and Haley a little more room before the core bites back. Tess, watching the door. You've got about 2 minutes before someone notices this room went off script. Jonah, then let's make those 2 minutes hurt. Low chanting whispers, the core's pulse, faint blood rush in ears. Mira steps further into the circle. Every step feels heavier, like gravity is being ratcheted up. The thrall guards at the far wall straighten, their eyes sharpen slightly, still distant but aware. Thrall guard number 1, flat, unauthorized presence in sanctified array. Thrall guard number 2, designated disruptor. Subject Mira Kael. Mira snorts. You people really need better nicknames for me. The whispers grow louder in her skull. Kneel, submit, protect the heart. Join the song. Her knees wobble for a moment, an almost unconscious impulse to obey. Leon begins softly chanting. Counter rhythm, Hecate phrases meant to ground. Anchor to blood, anchor to name. You are not the circle, you are the hand that draws the line. The pressure stutters. Haley winces. The storm signal is bleeding into the circle. It's trying to harmonize them. The core pulses, brighter, faster. Lines of silver light snake along the floor, connecting ancient sigils to modern conduits. Mira, we don't have long. She reaches the inner boundary. The thrall guards finally move, stepping forward to block the path to the core. Their faces are eerily calm, even as their hands flex on their weapons. Thrall guard number 3, subject disruptor. Threat level, terminal. They raise their rifles. Mira raises her pistol in one hand, disruptor in the other. Leon, take the left. Haley, stay behind me. If they drop me, you run. Haley, I'm not leaving you in a vampire prayer circle. That's an order. Haley, quiet, steel, I'm not your soldier. The first thrall fires. Mira moves, gunfire whipping across stone, ricochets, bodies shifting. Mira drops low, rolls, fires 2 clean shots, one guard's shoulder, the other's leg. They stagger but don't cry out, attempting to re-aim even while wounded. They don't stop, not until the circle says so. Leon flings a palm outward, a Hecate glyph flashing in the air like a temporary shield. One energy round splashes off it, scattering sparks. Strained. That trick is not built for sustained fire. Haley presses her palms flat to the floor, right on the etched lines. Leon whirls. Haley, no, too late. The swarm in Haley's blood flares, connecting with the circle, like plugging 2 massive circuits together. A crash of static, a low-rising chorus of whispers. Haley gasps, eyes going wide, irises morphing with shifting symbols. Voice layered with faint other tones. It knows me. It calls me. Child of the new blood. I can nudge it. Her fingers twitch along the lines as if typing across stone. The thrall guards pause mid-aim, hands trembling. Thrall guard number 1, glitching. Directive, protect, heart, defer to. Child of the new blood. They shudder, guns wavering. Mira, shocked. You're overriding them? Haley, teeth clenched. Not completely. I'm arguing. The core device at the center of the circle flares like a star about to burst. Lines of light trace up the walls, illuminating old vampire carvings. The founders' faces, fanged and regal, watching. The whispers unify into a single voice. The core, deep multi-layered. Who defies the order? Who breaks the circle? Mira steps forward, inside the last ring now, heart pounding. Mira Kael. Human, soldier, not yours. The pressure slams down, almost dropping her to one knee. The core, human, soldier, disruptor, threat. Haley pushes harder through the lines, sweat beading on her forehead. Shouting over the noise, you made the storm to control us. You built this circle to command us, but you need us to be alive for any of it to matter. The core pulses angrily. We need obedience. Blood. Order. If you break too many minds, there's nothing left to obey. No blood. No city, just corpses. The lights flicker, Haley's logic sliding through the system like a virus. It wasn't mercy the core felt, it was survival. The hive mind that had once called itself progress suddenly had to consider the possibility of wiping out its own food supply. Leanne steps up to the edge, chanting faster, directing the Hecate binding toward the central node. Anchor to choice. Sever the yoke. Let the circle remember it was drawn by hands that can be unmade. The thrall guards shudder again, guns lowering slowly, faces flooded with confusion. Thrall guard number 2, strained. What are we doing down here? Their eyes start to clear. The core thrums dangerously. The core, enraged error, conflicting directives, resolve, correct, eliminate noise. Mira looks at the pulsing device. To herself, that's me. I'm the noise. She pulls the narrow beam disruptor. Wait, if you fire that here. Mira, I'm not firing at the circle, I'm firing at the heart. She takes aim at the core. The whispers spike into a piercing shriek. The floor trembles. The core, subject, Mira Kael. Remove. The thrall guards jerk. Dragged back toward full control, guns rising again, now shaking but dangerous. Haley screams, forcing her palms harder into the circle. Brett, I can't hold them, and the core at the same time. You don't have to. Mira meets her eyes. Buy me one breath. Haley grits her teeth and pushes everything she has at the core's sense of self-preservation. Shouting, if you kill me and her, they will destroy you. You'll lose all your hosts. Your storm will collapse. You need us alive. The core stutters, energy faltering, just for a beat. The thrall guards freeze mid-aim, caught in a logic loop, and Mira takes her shot. Sound. The disruptor's focus shriek, sharp, cutting aimed. The beam slams into the core. For an instant, nothing. Then, the core erupts in a flare of inverted light, more absence than brightness, and the sound of a million whispered orders breaking at once. The core, screaming error. The circle's lines blaze, then crack. Sigils split like ice under too much weight. The thrall guards drop their weapons, clutching their heads. Thrall guard number 1, What? Where? The floor hurls Mira backward. She slams into Leanne, both crash to the ground. Haley is thrown out of the circle, hitting the stone hard. Her veins flare, then dim to a low, steady glow. The core rattles, flickers, then goes dark. Silence. Deep, profound silence. For the first time since Tower 9 was raised on old blood and older promises, the circle at its heart was quiet. Not controlled quiet. Not sedated quiet. Just an absence where a command used to live. Mira groans, pushing herself up on shaking arms. Roll call. Lion, breathless, alive. Might hit you later. Definitely impressed right now. Haley coughs once, then laughs weakly. Think I just argued a city's brain into a seizure. Mira, horse. Add it to your resume. The thrall guards blink, dazed, looking around like they've woken from a dream. One stares at the rifle in his hands, horror dawning. Thrall guard number 3, shaking. What did I do? Mira's jaw tightens. She holsters the disruptor. We don't have time for the full confession. Short version. You were puppets. You're not anymore. Help us get out alive, and maybe you get a chance to make it right. They exchange wild, terrified looks. Thrall guard number 1, the council will kill us. Mira, not if we make it very, very busy first. She stands, shoulders squaring. Mira Tower 9's heart is broken. The storm's going to stutter. That means people up there are going to start waking up confused, scared, and angry. She looks at Haley and Leon. We meet the others at the extraction point, then figure out how to turn this blackout into a beginning. Above them, the quiet storm faltered. Sedation waves tripping, signals dropping, warm skin hosts pausing mid-step as a system older than their grandparents forgot, for a heartbeat, what it was supposed to want. In the bowels of Tower 9, 3 ex-thralls tried to remember their own names. A scientist panted on a cracked ritual line. A hybrid stormbearer laughed like someone who'd just survived their own execution. And Mira Kael holstered the weapon that had just argued with a god machine and won. The war for humanity wasn't over. But for the first time, the monsters at the top of the tower didn't have the only voice in the sky. Every empire believes it will last forever. The vampires were like that. Tall, ancient, elegant in the way glaciers are elegant right before they crush a mountain. But even empires get nervous, especially when their perfect order starts to glitch. Tonight, Tower 9 shook, and the council above it realized they might need a new sky to rule. Metricity. Night. The first ripple hits the city like a skipped heartbeat. Warm-skin enforcers walking along sky bridges suddenly freeze mid-step. Their glowing vein sedation lines flicker like failing bulbs. Several topple over railings caught by auto safety nets. Crowds of civilians, human and hybrid, look around in confusion as the subtle oppression in the air evaporates for a moment. A street vendor drops his tray. Civilian number 1. Dazed. Why can I hear myself think? A woman gasps, clutching her head. Civilian number 2. The whispers stopped. Then a man screams as a warm skin next to him goes feral. Storm feedback frying its sense of identity. It snarls at the sky, veins pulsing bright and wrong. Civilian number 3. Run. Chaos explodes. Some hosts awaken, some break, some lash out blindly, no longer receiving commands. Above, the central spire begins broadcasting emergency signals. And in a sealed chamber on the top floor, the elders feel it. Vampire High Council chamber. Same time, a circular chamber carved from obsidian and bone. Elder vampires sit on thrones made of petrified worm ribs and blackened steel. Their skin is pale, corpse-white, not warm skin tech, but original ancient vampiric flesh that no longer pretends to be human. Elder Regent Valerius Dragor, oldest of the old, rises slowly. Valerius, voice like heavy stone dragged across stone ma. The storm has faltered. The city's pulse is irregular. Elder Mira Kael, eyes ember-bright, hisses. Someone struck the heart at Tower 9. The psychic feedback, it rakes across every thrall in the district. Elder Canthos leans forward, fingertips steepled. Canthos, then our centuries of subtle control might be unraveling. This cannot stand. A younger elder, if younger means under 800 years, steps forward wearing an obsidian medallion depicting the old sigil of dominion. Elder Seraphel, we always knew the quiet storm was imperfect. Mortals are chaotic material. Their minds resist long-term molding. Mara. Then perhaps we should return to old ways. Hunt, feed, clean the species, and start anew. Valerius raises a hand. No, we do not have the numbers. Not anymore. A heavy silence falls. For all their arrogance, the elders feared only one thing: running out of food. Their empire, perfect, polished, eternal, sat on the back of a dying human population. Cantos speaks again, voice thoughtful. We postponed feeding quotas, hoping the cloning initiative would succeed. It has not. Humans number scarcely 50,000 now. Mostly underground, mostly feral. Mara's lips curl. Then we take the lichens again, drink wolf blood as the ancients did. Valerius' gaze snaps toward her. Their blood corrodes us. You remember the purge of silver rains. We lost 2 clans in a single season. She falls silent. Seraphel clears his throat, almost eager. There is another option. Valerius narrows his eyes. Beak. Seraphel gestures. The chamber floor shifts, revealing a holographic model of an ancient human spacecraft. The Space Shuttle Discovery, reshaped with elongated, night-black plating and reinforced engines. Seraphel, we recovered the remains of the Discovery platform 2 centuries ago. Its design inspired certain experiments. Valerius stares. You toy with relics of the old world? Humans once dreamed of the stars. We can realize what they never could. A Nocturn fleet, vessels that can break the atmosphere and never again rely on the dwindling prey below. The elders exchange glances, hope, hunger, fear. Canthos, you would abandon the earth? Seraphel, expand beyond it. Mara, a universe full of new worlds, new blood. Valerius sits slowly, eyes gleaming. You propose an exodus. Seraphiel, a contingency. Our empire survives, whether humans do or not. A moment of charged silence. Then Valerius nods once. Prepare the prototype. The Discovery-class vessel must be ready before our world collapses beneath us. Seraphiel bows. And what of the Tower 9 breach? Valerius' eyes burn scarlet. Send hunters. Send the best. Someone down there has touched our oldest power. Find them, and bring me their blood. Tower 9. Lower levels. Mira, Leon, and Haley move through service tunnels, accompanied by the 3 newly freed thrall guards. Their footsteps echo in the quiet. Haley still trembles, a faint glow under her skin. The storm's still pulsing above us? But it's stumbling, like it's drunk. Liane, you overrode a fraction of its pattern. It's confused, wounded, recalculating. Mira, scanning ahead. That gives us maybe 10 minutes before the council sends reinforcements. They reach a junction. Haley leans against the wall, catching her breath. One thrall, now just a man, frightened and hollow-eyed, speaks hesitantly. Former thrall number 1, we don't know how to fight, not without the voices. Mira places a hand on his shoulder. You don't need to fight, just survive. Surviving pisses the council off more than any punch. He nods, grateful. Haley closes her eyes, tuning inward. Jonah's team, they're moving. The security feeds are glitching hard. He bought us a corridor. But only one. Mira motions. Then we take it. Move. Mid-level security hub. Same time, doors slam open. Jonah whirls. A squad of warm skins floods in, eyes flickering erratically, some enraged, some terrified, all unstable. Tess. Raising her gun. Jonah, we've been found. Aina, hold the line. Rafe steps forward, cracking his knuckles. About time something hit back. The fight is messy, loud, and uneven. Warm skins lunge with unpredictable bursts of speed, some collapsing mid-stride as their storm links break. Anna tackles one, slamming his head into a console. Tess fires EMP darts like she's sewing the air shut. Rafe tears a weapon from another and uses it to block 2 more blows. Jonah stays at the console, fingers dancing. I can't seal the room. The door protocols are spiking. The system thinks there are 28 people in here. How many are there really? 6. And one of them is me having a panic attack. Anna grabs a guard's arm and twists. Welcome to the club. The thrall network is collapsing. You have 60 seconds before it reboots and locks down everything. Muttering. Right, no pressure. He slams a palm to the console and uploads the disruptor loop he built earlier, overclocking it. The lights flicker. The floor hums. Every screen goes white. Anna's eyes widen. Jonah, what did you just do, Jonah? Out of breath, smiling. A bad decision, but a useful one. Every warm skin in the room collapses unconscious. Rafe whistles low. Remind me never to make you angry. Outskirts of Tower 9. Knight Karok and the Lycans continue the street fight, but something has changed. Some warm skins aren't fighting anymore. They're shaking, confused, some even crying. Karok circles a fallen enforcer whose glowing veins are dimming. The man looks up weakly. Enforcer, whisper, what was I doing? Why was I killing people? Karok bares his teeth, but not in anger this time. Because someone else told you to. Maybe now you get to choose for yourself. The man trembles. A Lycan scout runs up. Alpha, the storm's glitching everywhere. Thralls waking up. Humans running for shelter, some straight toward the tower. Karok looks toward the spire of Tower 9, smoke rising from its lower levels. Mira Kael, whatever she did, she broke the sky. He cracks his neck. To his pack. Wolves, help the waking humans. Don't kill unless you're attacked. Tonight we're not scavengers, we're a shield. The pack howls, not in rage this time, but in unity. Vampire High Council, same time. Valerius extends a hand, a door of pure shadow opens. From it steps Orin the Blood Eater, the council's most feared hunter. Skin pale as bone, eyes black, veins glowing faintly silver with ancient nanotech. He kneels. Orin Master. Valerius, Tower 9 is wounded. Someone dared strike the heart. Find them. Orin, hungry smile. And when I do, Valerius' fangs descend slowly. Bring me their last breath. Orin bows, rises, and vanishes, melting into shadow. Service corridor, near extraction point. Mira's group meets Jonah's team, bloody, exhausted but alive. Mira looks Jonah over. You look like hell, Jonah. Then I look better than I feel. Haley hugs Tess tightly. Rafe claps Karok's transmitted message on his comms. Lycans are helping civilians. Never thought I'd hear that sentence. The world's changing, faster than any of us expected. Haley's eyes flick upward toward the spire. And the elders felt everything we did. They're going to react. Leanne, the question is, how? Haley swallows. I think They have something bigger planned than the storm, something that reaches beyond the city, beyond Earth. Mira stiffens. Do you mean? Haley closes her eyes, remembering the psychic bleed she caught during the core collapse. I saw engines, black metal. Wings shaped like the old shuttles from history texts. They're trying to build ships. Jonah, stunned. Spaceships? No, escape ships. They want to leave the planet, Leon, or rule new ones. A siren begins to wail outside, one the city hasn't heard in decades. The elders had a plan for when the human herd dwindled, when the storm faltered, when the old order began to crack. They would rebuild their empire in the stars. The Discovery prototype was almost ready, and after tonight they would stop at nothing to finish it. Mira looks at her team, her family, her war. Mira, voice iron. We're not just fighting for the city anymore. We're fighting to keep monsters from taking the sky. When you break the heart of a tyrant's machine, it doesn't just stop beating. It spasms. It bleeds. And something meaner gets sent to find whoever swung the knife. Mira Kael had just shattered Tower 9's core. The Council's answer was to open a door and let their favorite nightmare walk through. Dripping water, crackling of overstressed circuits, distant siren. The ritual chamber is dim now. The core is a dead husk, still smoking, its polished surfaces cracked. The broken circle lines look like scar tissue across the stone. 2 cleanup techs in Council Gray cautiously scan the room with instruments. Tech number 1, nervous. Radiation traces. Weird. Not standard tech. Not quite arcane either. Tech number 2, this place gives me the creeps, like it's still watching. The temperature drops. Shadows thicken along the far wall. Oren steps out of them, pale, silent. Eyes like twin voids with a faint silver ring. His coat is dark, simple, but cut with predatory precision. The techs spin around. Tech number 2, sir. We didn't know anyone. Oren doesn't speak at first. He just inhales, deep, slow, eyes closing as he tastes the air. Oren, quietly blood, old circle ash, fear, and a woman. He opens his eyes. Tech number 1, we're still cataloging damage. The thrall logs got scrubbed when the core. Oren raises a single finger. They go dead quiet. He walks to the shattered core, kneels, and touches it gently with 2 fingertips. Sound, a faint, metallic scream audible only to him. Flashes hit him. Mira firing, Haley's hands on the sigils, Leon's chant. The moment the circle broke, he straightens. Oren, 3 in the center, 1 carrying storm code in her blood, 1 bound to old sigils, and the knife. Tech number 2, confused. The knife, sir? Oren, the woman who cut the heart. Mira Kael. The techs exchange a look. Tech number 1. We don't have confirmation, just fragments, sir. Some of the security footage is corrupted. Oren turns his head slightly, listening to something only he can hear, the faint psionic echo left in the chamber. A whisper of Mira's defiance, Haley's bargaining. Oren, to himself, you argued with the core and didn't break. He looks back at the techs, expression unreadable. Oren, you can leave. Tech number 2, relieved. Thank you, sir. We'll file that calmly. I wasn't asking. They hesitate, then hurry out. As the door closes, Oren walks to the edge of the broken circle and steps inside. The whispers that tried to control Mira now slither against him like frightened snakes. Whispering remnants hunt old blood. Do not bind. Do not touch. He smiles faintly. You remember me. His eyes narrow. Show me where she went. The circle's cracks glow, just for a moment, tracing a faint path in his mind. Not precise coordinates. A direction. Down. Into the tunnels. He nods once. Oren, satisfied. Then I'll go where the tower can't. He dissolves into shadow again, the darkness bleeding down through the cracks in the floor. Tower 9 had been a fortress of obedience for centuries. Tonight it was just a wounded animal, licking broken circuits and trying not to panic. The hunter it had just spoken to didn't panic. Oren only ever did one thing. He finished what his master started. Deep tunnel. Moving. Boots on stone, dripping water, gear clinking, occasional distant rumble. Mira's group moves through a deeper stretch of tunnel. No maps here, just scraped Hecate marks and their own instincts. Haley leans on Michael. Leon checks her periodically. Jonah keeps glancing at a jury-rigged scanner. Signal chatter's a mess. Storm pulses up top are mangled. Parts of the city are wide awake, others are stuck. Ain't a stuck how? Jonah, hosts on loops, walking in circles, standing in doorways for 10 minutes at a time, like the storm is trying to tell them 12 different things at once. Rafe snorts. Sounds like my last relationship. Haley gives a weak laugh, then winces. Don't make me laugh. Everything inside me hurts. Mira slows, letting herself fall back to walk beside Haley. You did enough for 5 people tonight. Haley, quiet, I did enough for them to notice. The elders, they felt me, Mira. Mira's jaw tightens. Then we'll make sure they can't reach you again. Haley looks at her, exhausted but resolute. You can't promise that. Not with whatever they're building. The ships, everyone nearby perks up slightly. Michael, you're sure that's what you saw? Haley nods. It wasn't a dream. The core was tied into elder channels. When it screamed, pieces of their higher directives leaked. I saw blueprints, class designs tagged Discovery, engines that burn cold, coding that drinks light. They want to take the old shuttle shape and make something that can leave the planet and never have to come back. Leon exhales slowly. Vampires in space, ancient gods with faster ships. Rafe, that's the worst sci-fi pitch I've ever heard. Anna, and the most realistic one now. Mira runs a hand along the tunnel wall. They took the sky once, turned it into a ceiling of drones and watchtowers. Now they want to rewrite the ceiling, turn it into their personal empire. We barely hold 1 city's worth of dirt, and they're eyeing the stars. Mira. Then we don't just fight for the city. We fight to keep the plague from going interstellar. Jonah glances over. You realize that means at some point we're going to have to hit a spaceport we didn't know existed? One impossible problem at a time, Jonah. Side street, ruined district, night. Crackle of small fires, distant screams, and closer, cautious footsteps. Carrick stands in an alley, breathing hard, half-shifted, claws bloody. Around him, a handful of humans, dirty, frightened, but alive. One of them is the former enforcer he spared earlier, now without helmet or weapon. The man's name is Jax. Mid-30s, stubble, clinic bracelet still on his wrist. Jax. Wary. You sure we should trust them? They were ripping throats out 20 minutes ago. Carrick wipes blood from his mouth, smearing it on the cracked wall. I was ripping throats out from the council before I decided to stand between you and theirs. You going to hold that against me too? A woman with a makeshift bandage on her arm, Mira, a surface-level teacher, speaks up. Mira, you could have left us. When the enforcers turned on their own, you could have just watched. She looks at the lichens tending to a wounded boy, one carefully splinting a leg with surprising gentleness. You didn't, Carrick shrugs, uncomfortable. Wolves don't like seeing the shepherd massacre the flock. Hard to find new herds after that. Jack snorts. You talk like we're livestock. Carrick meets his eyes. That's what they turned you into. We're trying to change that. Jax shifts his weight, unsettled. I don't remember half of what I did on patrol. Just flashes, faces, screaming. Carrick steps closer. Then you've got a choice now. You can drown in that, or you can use it. You know their routes, their blind spots, how they respond when they're scared. Jax hesitates. Mira, if they're building what she said, Carrick turns to her. She? The woman on the hijack broadcast, the one who broke the commissioner. People are saying she hit Tower 9 tonight. Carrick's mouth twitches, half smile, half snarl. That sounds like Mira Kael. Mira folds her arms, swallowing her fear. So what now? We can't go home. The clinics are cages, the streets are war zones. Carrick looks around at the broken buildings, the scattered flames. Now, we go down. There are tunnels the council doesn't know yet. Wolves and humans have been sharing those shadows longer than the elders like to admit. Jax frowns. To the rebels? To the only people who don't want to drink you, chip you, or use you as bait. He offers Jax a hand. Clawed, dangerous, offered. Jax looks at it for a long beat, then grips it. Fine. But if I see you sniff my neck, I'm out. Carrick huffs a laugh. Deal. On a side street where yesterday they would have torn each other apart, a Lycan Alpha and a former warm-skin enforcer shook hands. It wasn't a treaty, it wasn't forgiveness. It was something smaller, messier, and much more dangerous for the council. It was cooperation. Vampire Research Vault secret hangar. Low mechanical hum, echoing space, welding sizzles. A cavernous underground hangar. Black scaffolding surrounds a sleek, predatory vessel resting in a cradle. It resembles the old Space Shuttle Discovery. Same iconic shape, but longer, sharper, plating dark as spilled ink. Thrusters are ringed with strange glyphs. Solar shielding tiles shimmer like oil on water. On the side, a sigil of the Elder Council and a painted designation. Nocturn 1. Seraphel walks along the gantry with a small entourage of vampire engineers and thrall technicians. Seraphel, proud. The humans dreamed of touching the stars with this design. but they lacked immortality, patience, the willingness to spend centuries perfecting the craft. One of the engineers, Vero, bows his head. Nocturn 1's hull can withstand direct solar exposure for exactly 2 minutes before critical degradation. More than enough to break atmosphere from a nightside launch. Sci-Fi trails a finger along the black hull. And the blood storage? Vero. 12,000 liters. Enough to sustain a full elder retinue, and they're chosen for 1 standard year without feeding. Sci-Fi nods. And after that? After that, they'll need to find new sources. Sci-Fi smiles thinly. The universe is generous. It's full of things that bleed. They stop by a transparent viewing panel, showing a 3D display of orbital paths, potential off-world habitats, flagged exoplanets. Engineer number 2, we're still calculating safe drift points. But with enough launch thrust, Nocturne 1 can reach high orbit and rendezvous with a dark station in under 7 hours. Vero glances nervously upward, as if he can feel Valerius listening. The Elders want the prototype ready months ahead of schedule. We'll need to cut testing. Sci-Fi's eyes gleam. Then we cut testing. Better a dangerous lifeboat than a perfect one that launches too late. He taps the hull. Begin final integration. We accelerate. The world is cracking. We'll be in the sky before it falls apart. Mid-level tunnels, between city and deep, quiet, echoing, occasional rumble overhead, distant drip. Oren moves through an abandoned service shaft. No map, no guide. He doesn't need them. He walks with his eyes half-lidded, occasionally touching the wall, tasting the residue of magic and panic clinging to stone. He stops at a scuffed mark, Mira's boot scrape from earlier. He crouches, fingers hovering over it. She moves like someone who's carried too much weight and hasn't put it down in years. He stands, continues. Around a bend, he finds a bloody handprint on the wall. Human. Slight. Haley's. He presses his palm over it. Soft psychic echo. Haley's earlier scream, the core's roar. He inhales it like a scent. Oren, eyes brightening, Stormbearer. You're new. Further down, a dead warm skin lies crumpled. Neck broken in a quick, merciful snap. Rafe's handiwork. Oren doesn't linger. He's not interested in the dead. He's hunting the ones who make decisions. He reaches a junction, pauses, and smiles faintly. To the dark, I know you can hear me, Mira Kael. Not with ears, with whatever part of you refuses to kneel. He tilts his head. Keep running. If you make this interesting enough, I might even argue to keep you alive. He vanishes again, a ripple of shadow racing down the tunnel toward the deeper levels. Intermediate safe cavern. Shortly after, low murmurs, makeshift camp sounds, water being poured, packs opened, quiet groans. Mira's group has reached a small cavern, one of the Resistance's backup waypoints. Rough benches, old crates, emergency supplies in hidden niches. Leon bandages a gash on Tess's arm. Jonah finally sits, head in his hands. Carrick arrives with Jax, Moral, and a few other surface survivors in tow. The cavern fills with new faces, new fear. Mira stands near the entrance, watching everyone settle. Michael guides Haley to a bedroll. She sinks down, exhausted but awake. Carrick approaches Mira. Brought guests. Mira, I see that. She looks past him at Jax, who stiffens under her gaze. Jax, you're her, the one from the broadcast. Depends what you saw. The man's face breaking open to show the machine underneath. And you, telling us to wake up. He swallows. I was one of them. Warm Skin Patrol. I don't remember choosing it. I just remember doing what I was told. Mira watches him for a long moment. Then choose something else. Jax, horse. Like what? Like helping us stop them from taking this circus to the stars. The room quiets as that sinks in. Morales steps forward. They're leaving the planet? Haley answers from her bedroll, voice weak but clear. Not all of them, just the ones who matter to them. Elders, council, enough to rebuild somewhere else. Mira, horrified. And what happens to the rest of us? Mira's tone is matter of fact. Best case, they finish draining the pantry before they go. Worst case, they sterilize the planet on their way out so no one can follow. A heavy silence. Jonah finally looks up. So, Plan A was break the storm. Plan B is ground the space monsters. Rafe snorts softly. We're really moving up in the world. Leon rubs her eyes. Before we even think about space, we have to think about not dying in the next 24 hours. The council won't let the Tower 9 strike go unanswered. Carrick nods slowly. They'll send something meaner than enforcers. Haley shivers, eyes unfocused. They already did. Haley, she swallows. There's a presence, strong, focused. It moved through the broken circle like it was walking through a doorway. It built itself. Mira's spine stiffens. Hunter? Haley nods. Old. Not council bureaucracy. Not storm code. This is sharpened. He's following the taste of what we did. Rafe, wonderful. We've got a vampire bloodhound with a grudge. Mira's eyes harden. Then we don't stay put. She looks around the cavern, faces old and new, meeting her stare. Mira, to all of them, get what rest you can. Eat. We move before dawn. The city's changing. The storm is wounded, the council is scared, and somewhere above us, they're building a ship to flee the mess they made. She pauses, letting it sink in. We're going to make sure they don't get the chance to sail away from the consequences. In a hollow carved beneath a falling city, rebels, wolves, and broken puppets shared air that the storm couldn't touch. Not yet. Above them, elders sharpened their escape plan and painted their names on a stolen dream of spaceflight. Between them, moving like a shadow with teeth, Oren followed the echo of a woman who wouldn't kneel, and a storm-bearer who had dared to argue with the hive. The war for humanity had left the ground. The next moves would decide who owned the night, who claimed the sky, and whether the monsters would take their hunger beyond the atmosphere. Dawn hadn't come to the surface yet, but in the tunnels, time felt like a tight rope pulled by shaking hands. Mira's rebels rested, but the dark did not. Something old had entered the maze, something that did not breathe, did not hurry, did not hope. It simply followed. Sound, soft scraping, far-off echoes as if the stone itself resents being touched. Oren moves without sound, not stealthy but inevitable, like a glacier sliding through a canyon. He pauses, kneels, and touches the ground. Dirt, dust, faint blood, the residue of footsteps, human warmth lingering like ghost heat. Oren, almost tender. You're close. He moves deeper. At a branching path, he stops. There is a faint smudge on the stone, white chalk blended by touch. Mira's map mark. Oren brushes it lightly. Clever. Deliberate. You treat the dark like an ally. He looks up. But it answers to me. He lifts a hand and presses it to the wall. A deep, resonant hum, stone responding, trembling. For a moment, Oren and the tunnel share breath. His eyes glow silver. You all leave impressions, even the living. Show me the most recent. The wall loses its opacity, becoming a shimmering veil of memory. We see Mira's group moving past this point. Leanne supporting Tess, Rafe dragging a collapsed guard, Haley staggering with Michael's arm around her. Oren watches the illusions with calm fascination. Exhausted? Slowed. They won't get far before stopping. He steps back and the stone solidifies again. I'll find you soon. He resumes walking. But now he is smiling. The worst predators don't run, they stroll. And the tunnels felt it, as if something cold was being poured slowly through their veins. Low murmurs, someone snoring lightly, distant dripping water. Most rebels sleep. Some sit quietly, battered but alert. Mira sits alone at the cavern entrance, sharpening a blade made from ancient alloy, one of the mystic forged weapons they rediscovered in the ruins. Her mind drifts. Flashback monologue. 2 decades of war. 20 years of watching friends die, watching cities fall, watching the council rewrite truth like it's a story they never stop editing. If we don't stop them, they'll take this nightmare to the stars. She stops sharpening. Her shoulders stiffen. Mira. Whisper to herself, someone's here. Jonah sits up against a crate. Groggy. What? Coffee? Please tell me it's coffee. Mira. Flat, a hunter. Jonah is instantly awake. Oh, that's worse than coffee. He moves to Haley, shaking her gently. Haley wakes with a gasp, her eyes flickering with weak nanite light. Tense. He's in the tunnels. Michael, you can sense him? She nods, scared. He cuts through the storm's noise like a blade. Nothing binds him, nothing clouds him. He's clear. Rafe, checking his weapon, wonderful. We get the one vampire who's immune to the nonsense. Carrick pads over, half-shifted, eyes glowing amber. Describe him. Haley. Hunger carved into shape, precision wrapped in shadow. The council calls him Oren. Carrick snarls. The Blood Eater. Jax and Moral exchange glances. Blood Eater? Isn't that a myth? Carrick fixes him with a grim stare. If only. The cavern fills with whispers as Mira gathers everyone. Mira, we move now. No waiting for dawn, he'll be at the door soon. Jonah rubs his face. Great. Removing sleep from my schedule entirely. Anna, if we run into the wild tunnels with all these civilians, we'll slow to a crawl. Rafe looks at the rescued humans, thin, trembling, unarmed. They're not soldiers, Mira. They can't outrun a hunter. Carrick steps forward. Then we stand and fight. Leon, horrified. Fight Oren? That's suicide. Carrick bares his teeth. Everything is suicide until it isn't. Mira shakes her head. We don't fight him head on. We can't. He's older than the ritual we broke tonight. Haley looks pale. He drinks memories. He doesn't just kill. He consumes what makes you, you, Rafe mutters. So a vampire librarian with fangs. Great. Mira, firm. We evacuate, but we don't do it blindly. She turns to Jonah. I want route options. All of them. Jonah activates his tablet. There are 3 possible exit paths. Path A, fastest but passes near a drop shaft. Oren could corner us there. Path B, safer but too narrow for Carrick's pack or the injured. Path C, longest but least predictable. Ancient tunnels, even the council doesn't map. Carrick grins. C is where wolves thrive. Leon, C is also where people vanish. Anna, yep, I vote C. Vanish me, daddy. Everyone stares. Anna waves it off. Sorry, haven't slept. Haley clutches Mira's sleeve. He's close. The cavern walls tremble, barely but unmistakably. Oren has reached the outer perimeter. We're out of time. Path C, get moving. Quiet footsteps that echo like heartbeats. A faint metallic sigh. Oren steps into the outer tunnel leading to the safe cavern. He takes in the scents, the warmth lingering in the air, the whisper of recent conversation. He closes his eyes, tasting it. To the empty dark. You're close enough to hear me now? He takes another step. Kael, I don't know whether to admire you or break you slowly for inconveniencing the council. He lifts his head, almost amused. Perhaps both. He reaches the cavern entrance, just as the rebels vanish through a back exit into Path C's ancient tunnels. He studies the room. Bedrolls overturned, crates missing, a faint warmth in the air from human bodies. He kneels and presses a hand into the dust. 9 minutes. That's how far ahead you are. He stands. They'll close the distance. The rebels ran into the deep unknown, carrying fear, injuries, and the spark of rebellion. The hunter followed them into the dark with no fear at all. Above them, in the council's hidden vaults, the Nocturn 1 starship was waking, an engine built for gods with hunger in their teeth, and the world, broken and trembling, waited for what came next.